This is Obama talking about how the Democrats are going to have to toughen up. He says it's going to require a little bit less navel gazing and a little less whining and being in fetal positions. And it's going to require Democrats just toughen up. I have to say, on one hand, I think he's probably right. They should do a little less complaining. Everything they do is wrapped around complaining about America and complaining about capitalism and complaining about all the goodness. However, I don't even think it's cynical, but the, let's say, more clear-eyed version of what I think Obama really is. I mean, I think what he's telling the young troopers out there is, guys, we're about to have our communist revolution. Tighten up, get ready, stand up straight, and let's go. I really think that's what he's trying to say to them.
I think he's way too vague. What is it? First of all, I haven't heard of the phrase navel gazing. That just means walk around with your eyes down.
Well, it's just like, oh, you're not paying attention to the world. You're just obsessed with your own nonsense.
Well, that's true, and that's fitting. But this is coming from the man who lectured black men 8-9 months ago, before the election, 10 months ago, whatever that is before.
That might have been the worst moment of the entire freaking cycle, truly.
I think so. And the timing was brutal for them because it was right before the election. And black men are like, what? You're telling me that now I'm a racist and a sexist if I don't vote for her, that I don't have a brain enough to make my own decision? And then the numbers reflected it in the election, where more black Americans voted for a Republican that more than any time in the last half century, right? So I think people, it's safe to say, I'm sure you agree, that now people are like, okay, taking what he says with a grain of salt, maybe that's too drastic of a phrase, but at least really trying to look at what he's saying and judge it for themselves, when before it was just gospel. What exactly? Okay, fine, we toughen up. There's no mention of common sense.
Right. So what? Okay, toughen up to what?
Violence. Like, toughen up to what? Because that could be portrayed, Dave, as keep fighting nice and keep doing the wrong and keep telling them the wrong and throwing rocks and all those things. You have to be specific and tell them what it is that they're going to need to do. One thing I think true leaders do is they are very clear with what they want, and then they hold people accountable, starting with themselves. Yep. It is not something that he has done or is willing to do, it seems, and certainly not his party. So let's start with that. That's bad leadership. Tell me exactly what you mean and have the balls to do it.
Right. That's interesting. Right. Because if he wanted to be a leader, what would a leader say? So even though I'm not a Democrat, obviously, so he's not speaking to me, but let's say you were the leader of the Democrats. What you might want to say is, hey, guys, how about we stop hating the country for a minute? How about we start talking about American pride and thinking about why our ancestors came here and reinvigorate some of that? But you're right. He was sort of duplicitous in the way he said it, because you can basically take it any way you want.
Yeah.
Stop navel gazing and buck up, in essence. Well, I think what he means is for the communist revolution, but you might be right. It might mean something else.
Resist, you know?
Right. And that's not what a leader does. So it's kind of, I guess it's perfect for a Democrat leader of these days. Let's do one other story. And I think even though I'd rather end on something apolitical, we'll end on something political, because I think it ties sort of everything we're talking about here together. Because I think what you and I, one of the reasons I love you is that you're able to talk about all of these issues in a way that does blend the heart and the brain. And one of the guys that I think is doing an incredible job with the president is Stephen Miller. But Stephen Miller speaks from the brain. This is not a guy who's emoting a lot. He's just telling you what the deal is and what the law is. And he does it in sort of a cold manner, but I have a very hard time arguing with his facts. So take a look at this piece on what the Democrats are doing as it relates to ICE and the rhetoric around ICE.
We are deporting child predators and child rapists from these communities in mass. We are removing drug dealers. We are removing gang members. We have multiple foreign terrorist organizations like the Sinaloa cartel, like Tren de Aragua, like MS-13, that were imported in vast numbers by the Biden administration to rape, kill, maim, and murder innocent Americans. So that's the dystopia that we are healing, that we are resolving by getting these monsters out of our country. And as we are doing that under President Trump's leadership, Democrats are leading an insurrectionist mob to try to murder ICE officers. I can't be clear enough about this. The rhetoric from Governor Newsom, the rhetoric from Karen Bass, the rhetoric from Democrat leaders in Washington is directly encouraging and incentivizing murderous migrant mobs to attack ICE officers.
I think you get my intro there. It's like you can't argue. Look, I'm in a building here at the Daily Wire that was built basically by a guy that his famous line is facts don't care about your feelings. And that's what Stephen Miller is. He does not care about people's feelings. He's just laying it out. So while Sage Steele and Dave Rubin might be a little more squishy or like open to whatever, okay, like it kind of is what it is. 830% increase on attacks on ICE. Not 100%, which would be double. Not 200%, not 300%, not 500%. 830%. What are you going to do?
The number shouldn't surprise me, but because it's that big, it is a little bit shocking and it's sad and heartbreaking. And that's what I mean by that Barack Obama tweet. Like, you have to be careful what it is you're encouraging, because so many of these people seem to take things literally. And in many cases, it's spot on because, like he said, you've got the Karen Basses of the world and the Maxine Waters of the world and everybody else who wants to insert themselves into this and jump on that bandwagon of how terrible and evil that Donald Trump and his administration is. What are they saying? To fight back and not discouraging any of the violence as these ICE people, men and women, are being attacked. Their lives are at risk. I commend them as basically we would any service member of the military, any first responder who's out there, because that is what they are doing. They have a task and they have a mission. Stephen Miller is one of those people that I always feel smarter after listening to him, but if I'm standing next to him, I feel dumber, like for sure, because I'm like, wow, this guy, and he just goes, and I love it, especially when he goes on some of those other shows, because he silences them and they don't know what to do with it because he is spitting facts. That's the kind of leadership that we need. He says it better than Donald Trump could. And he's just like, because sometimes the emotions do get the best of Donald Trump. And I actually love that about him. But I love that he has surrounded himself right now with someone like Stephen Miller to just crack down and give your history and give your facts and be very clear about what the mission is. Shame on these leaders on the Democratic Party on their side for not condemning all of this, because it's going to continue. Do they think that Donald Trump and company are going to back down now? No, they campaigned on this, on putting the American people first, and that is what they're doing. Thank you, Stephen Miller, for your clarity.
Yeah, you're so right about this. The people that he's surrounded himself with, which was one of my concerns a couple of years ago when he announced he was running again. I was like, are you going to do the same thing? And then you look and it's like, man, Trump's great at the bumper sticker stuff. He's a branding guy, right? So he's amazing at that. And then you got JD giving these incredible speeches all over Europe. You got Stephen Miller crushing it. Caroline Leavitt, who's an actual good press secretary, which after 4 years of that lunacy that we were subjected to, Bobby talking about health. Marco has been unbelievable at Secretary of State. I mean, we could go on and on with these people.